my old school, there was an awards event every year, not for academic awards, no, not conduct awards or behavioral awards, nothing like that. For prestigious awards such as most fashionable, given to the boy and the girl who could supposedly dress the best. I never really understood the point of these awards, not just because I never won one, but also because I never saw anyone put it on their CV to get a job or to get into a school. And I certainly never saw anyone brag to their children that they won the finest boy award when they were in school. In fact, the only thing I came to understand was that the awards served no purpose other than to let people feel good about themselves. I hated these awards with a passion, especially because when I was in year 7, 8, 9, when I was younger anyway, in secondary school, the awards were the most biased thing I had ever seen. You know, the nominations themselves were flawed, not to mention the actual winners of the award, who almost entirely earned their merit based on clout and very rarely on their actual credentials to win the award. I quickly realized that this is how it is in every social space, in every community. You know, there's a natural bias to people from a certain class, be it defined by clout, like in a school, or like in most societies, money. There's imbalance. There is inequality. But the truth of the matter is differences would always exist. The issue isn't that some members of society have more currency, like money or clout, than others. The problem is when that inherently exists at the disadvantage of other members of the society. That is what social inequality is, and that's what I'm going to be talking about today. So, what is social inequality? According to sociology, it's the existence of unequal opportunities and rewards for people belonging to different social positions. And now that might sound really technical, but the truth is we see it every day. Social inequality is when Omar wins most fashionable over Ayo in school, even though Ayo can actually dress better because Omar comes from a higher social position than her. It's when Tunde is denied that parking space because of his bashed up Camry and the security men find it undesirable. But when Kunle comes along, he's enthusiastically waved into the exact same parking space because of his shiny Range Rover. Essentially, this is the twisted little principle that social inequality thrives on. People with more are afforded more, people with less are afforded less. And this shows in the core entrails of our society, everywhere, be it in jobs, education, politics. And let's take two of those, for example. Let's look at education and politics. In terms of education, it's no secret that private school is reserved for those who can afford it, while the rest go to a public school. This isn't a problem. The problem isn't that some people can afford private school and others can't. The problem is when those who are meant to make sure that the quality of education in both is at par refuse to do their job. You find this more prevalent in lower economically developed countries where people that go to private school get quality education and they get to maintain their lifestyles as they grow because they have the education to compete, they have the education to get a job and to get well paid. While others who go to a public school don't get quality education, cannot compete in the future market, and hence find themselves in a very rarely broken cycle where they can't actually afford to better their lives. They did not ask for this. They didn't ask to go to a public school. They chose to go to a public school because they couldn't afford to go to a private. That should not be at their disadvantage. Let's look at another example in politics. Let's paint a scenario. We have two candidates. In terms of philosophies, in terms of ideas, in terms of everything that makes good candidates, they are neck and neck, apart, inseparable even. But one comes from a prestigious family society, and hence wins the election by a landslide, one that is unwarranted given the credentials of their opponent. If the opponent was given a fairer chance, people might have found that maybe, just maybe, they even preferred his philosophies or her philosophies and her ideas. But because of social inequality, something that had absolutely nothing to do with being a good candidate or being a better candidate, which is the prestige of the family of Trump, meant that the results of the election told a different story. So why is this bad for society? Why does this affect our society so much? I mean, apart from the fact that it puts certain members of society at such a disadvantage, it also handicapables us, leaves us handicapped as a society because we are left only to harness the abilities of a few, while the rest are neglected. between the businesswoman all suited up in her office and the person selling fruits on the road, we'll never actually know who is better at business. So what can we actually do about it? I say it starts with the mind. And one might wonder, how can the wealthiest person and the one living in abject poverty be equal? But I say that if we can think it, or if we reform our mindset towards equality, then we can make it happen. The man living in poverty may not be able to afford a holiday to Malibu, or he may not be able to afford a yacht. But he, at the very least, deserves to be able to get his children quality education, so that one day they'll be able to compete in the market, and maybe, just maybe, they'll be able to get a better life for themselves and their families. Or at the very least, they deserve to know that if they fall ill, they will be able to take care of themselves. They will be taken care of, even if they cannot afford expensive hospital bills. If we can conceive it, we can achieve it. Thank you.